I greet you in the love and in the light of the one infinite Creator. We communicate now. Impatience is one of the most frequent catalysts with which the seeker must work. When a general outline of the path of evolution is seen, it is often too enticing to resist jumping ahead of one's actual place upon the path and making quickly for the goal. It is suggested to carefully place the foundation of one's house before hanging the roof. Seems sound. It brings to mind the old saying, there is never time enough to do a thing right the first time, but there is always time enough to do it over. Note also how any thought and action, when carefully scrutinized, can lead one to the basic distortions or lessons that one is working on. Thus, any portion of the life experience can be seen as a holographic miniature of the entire incarnational plan for an entity, as layer upon layer of meaning is discovered behind the smallest surface of things. This is not because the events in our world are naturally filled with layers of meanings, though this is also true, but because we subconsciously color the events in our lives in the way that we have pre-incarnatively decided will provide us with the opportunities to learn what we wish to learn. That's why different people see the same catalysts in different ways, often wildly varying. As we work with these colorations, distortions, reactions in a conscious manner, we begin to accept ourselves for having them because we begin to see the purpose behind them. This acceptance draws to us the balancing attitudes for our distortion so that our viewpoint expands and we are able to accept and love another part of the Creator which was previously not accepted and loved. Love, then, is the potential product of any distortion. The course of spiritual seeking is often unclear, and seekers are always looking hopefully for some single point of clarity to hold against the universe as yardstick. Certainly, the remembrance of love itself suffices in this wise, but this remembrance comes slowly when we are caught up in our reactions. We each have these hooks that catch us up, and there is some time that passes before we are reoriented. But we are not always attentive, no matter how abreast of things we hope to be. We can continue to catch ourselves in the act, rather than swinging around in a supposed shortcut that keeps us from seeing into why we get caught. It is a real breakthrough when you see yourself getting caught. This moment reveals to us that inner distortion we've been looking for. Once we can see the mechanism, we can far more efficiently work on its release. I think the goal here is not to be without error, but to see our error more clearly. We are human. We will err. It is impossible not to. But we can slowly learn ourselves well enough to do the erring during inner processes rather than upon the outer world stage. Perhaps one day all the buttons from childhood and other traumas might become released and we will be clear, and perhaps not. I don't think this matters nearly as much as how much we have loved. What, after all, is all of our striving in the end, including human thought, but a vain and empty folly? We cannot move from illusion to truth in this body, on this plane of existence. So where is our truest and central service? Not in the doing, but in the being, in allowing the true self, that open-hearted lover of all things in creation, to share its essence with the world, and to allow the love and light of the Infinite One to pass through it and radiate into the planetary consciousness. That is our true jest, all of us who have come here at this time to be of service, living a devotional and devoted life. In all of our distortions, and thus all of our learning, are the result of the limitations of the viewpoint. We limit our points of view consciously or unconsciously, pre-incarnatively or during the incarnation, in order to gain a certain bias that may then draw unto it the opposite bias and offer us the opportunity for balance. By being able to see each bias as an opportunity for the Creator to know itself and for us to know ourselves as the Creator, we more and more become able to accept ourselves. We become able to find love and acceptance, not only in ourselves, but in others who share our characteristics, and our viewpoint is widened by our efforts to learn and to serve. Such growth is not possible without biases or distortions, and these biases and distortions are not possible without the choice to limit the viewpoint in one way or another. So we determine what lessons and service we shall attempt during any incarnation by the way in which we limit our viewpoint. Another interesting point to note here is that whatever one's basic nature is, whether it be love, wisdom, power, or some blend of these three, one does well to express that nature in a regularized fashion. So does one become a channel for it, not by holding on to it, but by giving it away. Again, we see another purpose of anger, or the opportunity that it might present to the one expressing it, being the polar opposite of love. It may attract that love and compassion to the person feeling it. Remorse and sorrow often attract love and compassion to a positive seeker who has experienced a great deal of anger. Anger may also be seen as the negative expression of power, that is, destruction and separation, with the positive side being construction and unification. So it is not necessary to repress or overcome qualities in our being which seem negative and hurtful, but rather to see them as potentials for achieving balance. When these negative qualities are followed to their source, they can enable the seeker to take advantage of the opportunities for knowing the self, the Creator, and the creation as portions of a complete unity. In healing, it is good to look for the joy of companionship, for each is strong and has its feet set upon the way. The moon casts its shadow. What shall you see? Link hands and walk towards the sun. In this instance, this is the greatest healing. For bettering a situation, always begin with rejoicing in, giving thanks for, and praising the situation, whatever it is. With this attitude, you meet the moment with praise and thanksgiving, you be best prepared to meet it well. Simple advice, hard to follow, but worth it. We leave you in appreciation of the circumstances of the great illusion in which you now choose to play the pipe in timbriel and move in rhythm. We are also players upon a stage. The stage changes, the acts ring down, the lights come up once again, and throughout the grand illusion and the following, there is the undergirding majesty of the one infinite Creator. All is well, nothing is lost. Go forth, rejoicing in the love and the light, the peace and the power of the one infinite Creator. Adonai.